Welcome to the Lounge Lizards podcast. It's so good to have you here. It's a leisure and lifestyle podcast founded on our love of premium cigars, as well as whiskey, travel, food, work, and whatever else we feel like getting into. My name is Gizmo. Tonight I'm joined by Rooster, Pooba, Senator Pagoda, and Grinder. And our plan is to smoke a cigar, drink some beer, talk about life, and of course, have some laughs. So take this as your 50th official invitation to join us and become a card-carrying lounge lizard. Plan to meet us here once a week. We're going to smoke a Cuban cigar tonight, share our thoughts on it, and give you our formal lizard rating. We discuss QD's place in the Habanos S.A. catalog. Senator and Grinder talk about the most challenging beer to brew, and we do a deep dive on modern American beer culture, all among a variety of other things for the next hour. So sit back, get your favorite drink, light up a cigar, and enjoy as we pair Schneider Weisse with the Quai number 54. A Cuban Robusto tonight on the pod from Quai, the number 54, which is a 54 ring gauge by 5 3/8 inches cigar. Our second QD on the pod, we did the Coronas Claro quite some time ago, I guess, right? Probably episode 15, 20, something like that. I don't remember. Got a great rating. We love that cigar. So it was time to revisit this line. They have 3 cigars in regular production, which is the Coronas Claro, the number 50, which is a 50 ring gauge Petite Robusto, and this number 54 Robusto. So great cigars. Let's cut this thing, boys. See, we're getting on the cold jaw and the wrapper.
Yeah, nice dark wrapper on this.
Yeah. So these are from the Partagas factory, Tua, December 20. Good code, good box date on the QD number 54.
Good looking cigar.
Immaculate draw. What are you guys getting?
Shortbread.
Same. Cold draw is actually really tasty.
It is. Some dried fruit.
A little bit.
I feel like this is a very different cigar from the Corona Claro. And we could talk about, I think that kind of stands a little bit outside this one. And this one I think is very different than the number 50 as well. All 3 in the line, they don't share a ton of DNA for me anyway. But
Cold draw is very dessert flavor like to me.
yeah.
A little vanilla.
All right, boys. Let's light this thing. The Quai, number 54. Again, it's a 54 ring gauge Robusto by 5 3/8 inches. So, a very exciting night tonight. This is, first off, this is episode number 50, which I think is a cool milestone.
Oh.
So, this is the 50th episode that we've recorded, coming up on our 1-year anniversary in a few weeks. And the other thing that's cool is this is the first time that we are recording outside of Senator's Lounge. We are at our clubhouse we always talk about, 1086, cigar retailer and lounge, amazing 24/7 lounge, members only, key card access, just I think everything we've been dreaming of for years. And it finally popped up in our backyard.
It's built for lizards.
It's built for lizards. So check it out, 1086 Cigars, Hawthorne, New Jersey, the official Lizard Clubhouse. We're so happy to be here. So thankful to the owner, John, for having us. It's really a great place. We spend a lot of time here, as you know.
Very friendly environment. Very, very nice proprietor here. And it's a very, very nice business.
Community driven.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's a golf simulator
Golf simulator,
and a poker room.
True.
Free espresso.
free espresso, free water.
And like 15 TVs.
Yeah.
It's perfect for sports.
Yeah.
It's really a dream lounge. And arguably the best thing is that,
24/7 access.
yeah,
That's the
24/7
best.
key card
That's,
access. You want to come here at 3 a.m. after you get off a plane at Newark?
Yeah. And they're
Roll
actually
in.
open on Sundays.
Yeah.
Go figure. and they don't close at 5:30 on Saturdays. So that's a plus.
I'd like to report some shots fired in Hawthorne, New Jersey.
So what are you guys getting on this thing? I think this is off to a delicious start here on the light.
It's much different than the QD50, right?
I think so too.
It's got more
filler.
more filler, more flavor.
I think this is a little more
is
desserty.
milder.
It's a little more desserty. I think that the 50 is a little more earthy, generally.
I think the surprising thing, this was probably my introduction to QD, and I'll credit Grinder because it was at his place that I had the first one of these. And my impression of QD was always that they're milder smokes, that they're kind of made for like the French market and were just supposed to be a milder Cuban. And I remember when Grinder gave me this, I was really shocked how much flavor was in this cigar. And I think, you said, what are you getting right off the bat? And for me, it's like a dance between spice and some sweeter kind of dessert-like flavors, which I really like. So it opened my eyes to this brand in a way that I wasn't before, and I think the Coronas Claros came after that. Love that cigar. So there's shockingly very flavorful sticks.
Yeah. And what's interesting too, Habanos listing this as a value brand. These cigars, I think, Coronas Claro for me as a Corona stands alone. It's a phenomenal cigar. So it's just interesting that Habanos doesn't have more cigars in the line, like we've talked about on other episodes. Diplomat, there's other markets,
but do they list it? I don't think they list it as a value brand, more as a portfolio brand.
Maybe it is portfolio. Maybe
you know what I'm saying. It's not a value brand like Quinteros or something.
Yeah, no, this is not. I mean,
not Quinteros. Like Cuaba or something. This is a luxurious cigar. Yes, it's made for a certain smoker with a certain palate, the European market primarily. But
you know what's interesting?
Yeah,
you're correct. But guess what brands they call value brands? Because you didn't name a single one of them.
Jose La Piedra.
El Rey del Mundo.
Nope.
San Luis Rey.
Nope. Value brands is listed by Habanos: Bolivar, Punch, Ramon, and Trinidad.
What?
Wow.
Well, I don't know what they mean by that.
I mean, it's insane.
It's
insane.
Okay.
Trinidad?
No, they mean
Trinidad.
premium probably.
Yeah,
but you are correct. You are correct placing. Actually, this is placed alongside Cuaba, El Rey del Mundo, Fonseca, Juan Lopez, Gloria Cubana.
No way.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is listed along.
portfolio brand.
Yeah,
it's not a global brand because they just don't make as many of them, and they're not. It's not Hoyo Partagas.
Yeah,
but how is a Trinidad a value brand?
Well,
that certainly isn't anymore.
I don't think
There's like $800 box of 12 cigars.
I think
if that's value, I mean that's.
I don't think we know their definition of value.
Yeah,
I don't think they do either.
They may need to, that's from Cuban Cigar website. It's probably needs to be updated or something. And by the way, when are our books coming?
November. I actually just got an update this week that
Goodness.
they're on track. They're on time. So we will have them before the holidays.
Can you remind the listener what the book is? Because
yes,
it's
so cool. Okay. So we love and reference anytime that we do a Cuban episode. A few of us, or at least a few of us, are sitting here on our phone with Cuban website, CubanCigarWebsite.com. So it's CubanCigarWebsite.com, open on our phones. And it's just the gospel of Cuban cigar information. Everything you'd want to know about sizes, marcas, vitolas, packaging, how to find fakes, etc. And the curator of the site is a guy named Alexander Groom, and he's putting out a really nice hardcover deluxe presentation book called El Habano Moderna, which you can still pre-order on the website, and it'll be available. But highly recommend you check it out. And we've all ordered one, and it comes in November, and I'm really excited about it.
And you got two, right?
I think I did actually.
Did you get hardcover and the soft cover?
No, I think I got like a limited edition one,
yeah.
and then I got one that I'm actually gonna I'll probably keep it around.
Do you remember what we ordered?
I do. I know exactly what we ordered.
I mean the color.
If I got the color, I can't remember if
I
I
got
ordered
red.
red or
Red
blue. I
or
think I
blue.
got red.
I'll tell
Yeah,
you right now.
I know I got red.
I got red.
When's the audio version coming
I
out?
hope I got red.
I also got red. Not the limited edition one.
Not the limited edition one, red though. I hope I got red. I
Is
don't
it
know
more than
why I
two
would
on
choose
page?
blue.
I don't know. Somebody ordered blue. I remember a couple of guys ordered.
Here we
blue.
go. Senator had the red edition. Bam Bam had a collector's edition like me and a red edition. Puba had a blue. Grinder had a blue. And
What?
Rooster had a blue.
What?
Wait.
What?
Wait, blue's the limited edition one?
The limited edition one, I believe, is the blue one. I'm not sure actually.
Then you mistook my order, young man.
No, I didn't. This is why
Just
I'm
leave it be. The book is the main thing.
Busting his
I
balls.
know, but now I'm bummed out thinking I got you the wrong one. I don't think I did actually. No, blue is the limited edition one. So
it is. So maybe that's why I chose that.
Puba, Grinder, and Rooster all got blue.
What? You just said I got red.
See, you got red.
No, I thought you said I got red.
I got red for sure. I had a
No.
strong preference.
You just said you got blue.
This
Senator, you got blue.
No, he started
No.
off saying Senator got red.
Senator red, Bam Bam red, Grinder,
Yours
Puba,
yours
Rooster
is not,
blue.
Yours is not limited.
I
No, the
know.
red one is the regular
intentionally.
So what's the difference? What
do you
makes
mean
it limited?
intentionally?
You look at both of them. You'll understand why.
You mean
it's got
why I
limited
said I
information.
want red and I hope I got red before I realized I got blue?
Yes.
God damn you.
What do you think about the cigar?
Let's keep going about what color books we ordered. Oh, that's funny.
One of the things that's interesting to me is that this is supposedly for the European market.
Yeah.
You don't see Europeans smoking 54 ring gauge cigars.
It's true.
Sure,
It's true.
What's that all about?
I'll be honest. I don't.
Yeah, but this isn't the only cigar they make.
I certainly don't love.
So
a
maybe
54 ring gauge.
maybe it's a crossover, attempt.
It's a hybrid.
It doesn't
You know.
feel like a 54 though.
It's a
I just honestly, this cigar is delicious. Don't get me wrong. I don't love 54 ring gauge cigars. Anything really over 52, I just like this in my hand. It's delicious. Now, I'm not talking about flavor. I just don't love the size of this cigar.
I can see that. I mean, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
As long as the taste is there. Like I like a connoisseur,
Yep.
and I also like an E2. And those are larger ring gauges. And
Delicious cigars. I wish they were a thinner ring gauge. So if I could have the
but
same
they may
flavor
not taste
profile,
the same.
if they
Yeah.
could have the same flavor profile and be smaller, I would take that. But obviously, that's not the way that the world is trending as far as
But you know what? I
Cigar
mean, the
smoking
bigger
habits.
the ring gauge, the cooler the smoke too.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
And you look cool too, by the way.
Because I ordered the blue book, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't reach for this ring gauge like all the time.
Yeah.
But I think that it's got its place.
Yeah, I think when Puba says it has its place, I think every ring gauge kind of has its place. And for me, the only 54 ring gauge sticks I smoke, the QD 54, and the Partagas E2. That's pretty much it. And I reach for those when I like with a larger ring gauge stick like this, the smoke output is usually really robust. And so when I know I just really kind of want to immerse myself in a cigar with a lot of combustion, that's when I reach for a 54 ring gauge. But it was funny. Rooster said earlier that this stick in particular, he said it doesn't feel like a 54 ring gauge. And I actually tend to agree. I can't explain why I feel this way, but a lot of the time when we've reviewed like a New World 54 ring gauge, it's felt like a massive cigar and not all that enjoyable even in the hand and as you're smoking it. But this cigar, for some reason, it just fits well in my hand. And
They're pretty
I-
comfortable.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's actually a good size.
I think because, like you mentioned, you smoke the E2. The E2 is a little longer.
yeah.
Right.
yeah,
so
that's
maybe
true.
that
So, but
might be
maybe
the reason
it is a
why
length thing.
Yeah.
The length.
That's a good
you
point.
know,
Oh, it is. It's significantly longer.
Yeah. So
Great
this
point.
is a Robusto.
Yep.
Yeah.
A big Robusto. I mean, Robustos are typically like a 50 ring
yeah.
gauge.
Yep.
52.
Yeah,
max.
can we talk
50,
about that for a
52.
second? I am really thrown off by it. Was funny. Grinder said we had a Robusto. I said, "There's no way this is a Robusto. It's a 54 ring gauge," but it technically is a Robusto, so it's clearly only measured by the length of it. But that kind of bothers me. I just feel like when I think of a 54 ring gauge, I think of a Toro,
Right.
Yeah.
right? Which is this ring gauge, but just longer. So I almost wish there were more parameters around calling things a Robusto.
I mean,
Like
maybe
to
this
compare
is-
this to a D4 or a RAS is crazy to me.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and there's also like the Hermosos size,
Right.
which is slightly smaller than your standard Robusto. And I mean, on any day, most people are thinking that Hermosos is a Robusto, which is to me is closer to what a Robusto probably should be than what this is. But anyway,
This is like a Robusto Gordo.
Yeah, seriously.
oh yeah, that's kind
Right?
of right. Yeah,
I think you're right.
And the difference seems to be just half an inch
Yep.
between a Robusto and a Toro.
Yeah.
So if you get a
lengthwise.
54 by 6, it's a Toro.
yeah, true.
Are you guys getting fruity? I'm getting a little fruity.
I like the cigar. I mean, it's on the mild side, and it's sometimes that's really
It's got some spice.
It does.
I'm not getting any spice at all. At
Really?
least not
Really?
yet.
I get
Wow.
I get it on the
That's
finish.
good. Yeah.
I get more of a baking spice than like a
Yeah.
Yeah.
spicy
Yeah.
spice.
I
Yeah.
think maybe
Not
Fair enough.
pepper. Not
Not
pepper.
pepper.
Yeah,
not
like
peppery.
A,
All
like
right.
A,
So
like a
Not-
nutmeg.
Yep.
Like a nutmeg type spice.
I do
Fair-
find
fair
this to be a very pleasant smoke. I think it's the flavors more complex than a lot of more mild, like the Romeo Wide Churchill. I think was a good example of a cigar that was so mild and to me was just so blah.
Well, the finish is longer in this cigar.
Absolutely.
You know, the Wide Churchill, the finish was just, there's some body to this. I would argue there's more body to this than the Wide Churchill, and I think that's what gives it just a lot more character. I'd also argue that the construction on this is pretty
Yeah, this is fantastic.
spectacular.
is
yeah.
pretty spectacular
Yeah.
too.
I mean, that's one thing I will give QD's credit for. I feel like I haven't seen a poorly constructed QD. I mean, they charge a premium. Honestly, that's also one of the things that initially deterred me from this brand. I thought they were mild cigars. They're priced higher than most other. I mean, they're more than Partagas. They're even more than some of the like standard production Upmans. I was really confused by that. But the construction is always just really sharp. I do love their bands. Actually, I think they're really well done.
Yeah,
Love the
they're really
bands.
nice.
Love the
It's-
bands.
It's a value stick.
It's a handsome. It's a handsome.
Yeah,
band.
the,
No, they
band-
may-
the
they-
bands are great, and the more I smoke these, the more I kind of fall in love with them and appreciate them a little bit more. Particularly that Corona Claros, and it's just a super duper cigar.
Yeah,
Even young, it previewed really really well as a young cigar.
absolutely.
That cigar, like I have a handful of them. I'm gonna grab some more at some point, but I'm not gonna. That cigar is so good young that I'm not gonna smoke it. Do you know what I mean? I think that cigar in 4 years will be a killer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a stunner.
That's
for
the
sure.
best. That's the best cigar made by QD.
No doubt.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, they only make
Yeah.
3 cigars. They do make a lot of regional.
Yeah, it is funny. Habanos does use QD. Actually, I did for an upcoming episode of the pod. I got us some Senadoras,
Oh, nice.
the LCDH, which is I guess it's a Corona. I guess I can look here, but
I've heard great things about this.
me
stick,
too.
by
I've
the
never
way.
had it.
Great things. I mean, the Senador, it's wonderful.
Yeah, I can't imagine why you're saying that. Which that's a 6.5 by 48. So they look great. I actually got them today, so looking
That's
forward to
good
doing that
size.
down the road. You know what's cool about this cigar is so first off, I like to tell folks about the packaging. So this comes in a semi-boit nature box of 10 cigars, also in 25, very similar to like a Partagas D4 type setup. So this cigar was released only 5 years ago in 2017. So in 2016, 2017, Habanos did a full rebranding of Quai d'Orsay, which is why arguably they have one of the most modern, best looking, most advanced presentation in the band out of all Habanos, because they're kind of one of the more recent updates that they've done.
It's modern, but it looks classic. Still.
does.
It still looks iconic, like a classic.
Yeah,
I don't get
but
the-
it wasn't just the packaging or the label.
They canceled.
I think they completely redid the whole
it was a full revamp.
the whole blend and
Yeah.
everything else.
Yep, they canceled. Like the list of cigars that they cut between 2015 and 2017 is pretty extensive.
You want to know my favorite part of their band?
What's that?
This is one of the only Cuban
easy to get
bands
off.
that you can actually peel off without tearing the wrapper of
Yeah,
the cigar.
it's true.
It's so
That's it.
That's true.
true.
That's
It's
an
a-
improvement.
it
Huge-
is.
huge improvement.
The band before 2017 was very, very plain, like a mustard yellow.
Yeah, like a subdued
Yeah,
yellow.
very simple. You know,
Yeah, but those
Um,
those are also kind of cool looking.
I know they're so awesome. Actually, yeah, they're really awesome, like mustard yellow. I do want to ask you guys. So episode 30, I was putzing around trying to figure out what episode it was. Episode 30, we did the Coronas Claro. I know we're only about 3/4 of an inch in, but how would you compare this cigar for listeners who maybe went out and grabbed a Coronas Claro or had that? How would you describe the difference in this cigar versus a Coronas Claro?
Well, there's one note that's missing in the QD54, which is very present in the Coronas Claro, and that's the citrus.
citrus.
I'm not getting any citrus out of this. You
Yeah.
know, you get a lot of baking spice and stuff, but the Coronas Claro, I mean, that was like a distinct flavor note that you get out of that is citrus orange, like especially not lemon, but like orange.
Yeah, more like an orange. Yeah.
orangey citrus.
Which I will say, I actually like that it's not present in this cigar. And I say that because those are the two QDs that I smoke regularly. I have QD 50s as well, but I don't smoke them as often. The Coronas Claros, I pretty much exclusively reach for in warm weather. Like it's such an amazing like summer, even spring cigar. You get that citrus. You can have it with a beer, or like a lighter scotch, a tequila. It's perfect for that. What I like about the 54 is because the flavors are more baking spice and not as citrusy and bright as you get in the Coronas Claros. I reach for this in all year round. In the winter, I smoke these. The fall, so I like that I have this is kind of a year-round stick for me, and the Coronas Claros always slots in when the weather's nice and it'd be kind of conducive to being outdoors.
Yeah. Have you had Coronas Claro?
I'm trying
Grinder?
to
He has.
recall.
Oh, that's right.
I gave him
we had
one
that-
when you had your baby.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right after you had your baby. That was right
Yeah.
in your garage.
I smoked it in the garage.
It was
It
awesome.
was great.
Yeah.
It was a treat. It was the first cigar I smoked actually.
Yep.
After
wow.
yeah.
I find that, and you guys may think that I'm crazy on this, so I'm kind of bringing it up maybe to
You're
argue with
crazy.
you a little bit. But to me, like, I don't know how to phrase it properly, so forgive this, but I almost feel like the Coronas Claro to me is as close to maybe a Cohiba type of thing without the hay or barnyard. Like, it's as close to that where it sits for me in flavor profile. It's almost like a poor man's Cohiba as far as Habanos goes, in my eyes. I think it's the closest thing to a Cohiba, whereas I think this is kind of the love child of Upman and maybe a touch of Partagas. Is that a crazy statement?
Yeah.
I had a feeling.
Yeah, it's a little
It's
weird.
crazy.
Yeah, I'm not drawn.
I don't think Cohibas have that citrus notes. I don't think any of the
No,
Cohiba.
they
I've
also don't
never-
have barnyard. I mean, hay
don't-
was
I don't-
hay was right, and it's like a
Grass. That's what I
grassy
meant to
note.
say.
Yeah.
Not barnyard. Yeah.
Grass.
I don't
Yes.
get the
grassy.
Partagas flavor
You-
though.
But Cohibas can also have like a honey flavor to them. I don't know if it could be a leap.
I don't know. I
I
guess
say that with peace and love, but maybe
No, but I presented it that way. I expected.
no,
That's why I was
I
hesitant
guess-
even saying it.
if I'm trying to arrive at the conclusion Giz did, I guess there's some of it I can see in the sense that you get a little of this right now, but when I've had these with even a bit more age, they really get creamier over time. Like you can tell that it's there and it just with time will be accentuated. When you have these with a little bit of age, they can be super creamy, where with Cohibas, when you have them young, you're not going to get any of
I
that.
just
But when they age, you will. And I do think some of the like lighter, like the flavor profile, of this is not like in your face. Like that's where I can see that being a little Cohiba like. But I guess as I'm saying this, you were saying that the QD Coronas Claros was more Cohiba like. I almost think this may be more Cohiba like.
Interesting.
I think this is more closer to like a mild Upman, but Upman's got more strength
Yeah.
and Upman's deliver more power and more pepper.
But
they're
Upman has that
closer to-
shortbread thing.
Right, they have that shortbread thing. So I mean, I can pull that. I can draw a conclusion and say, because this has some kind of dessert-like flavors and some of those baking spices that an Upman delivers that we all love.
Yeah.
This particular cigar has a little bit of that, but it's like with a twist, with like a fruit twist. So like the Coronas Claros is kind of like an Upman with like a twist, to it, where Upman's delivering almost like they get nutty, and they get baking spices, but like with nuts. Where this cigar is like baking spices with an orange. It's kind of maybe
I'm
think
closer to
citrus.
there, so
Yeah,
I'm
you
sorry. I'm
know.
out on the Cohiba
I think
analogy.
the baking spice is the common denominator between the Upman and the K Dorse.
the QD54.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Upman and I feel like Upman and Trinidad, Cohiba and Trinidad maybe are closer cousins in terms of flavor profile and some of the cigars. They are cousins, Zach. I mean, they do sit on their own little island together.
The other thing I have to say about this cigar, the construction really is impressive, because this has been my experience when I smoke these by myself, and I'm looking at every stick in the room, and everyone's got at least an inch of like white ash perfectly, holding on. And so I really appreciate the construction of these.
Yeah, I agree. I've never had a QD that has a problem. I only have to touch up when I'm talking, and I kind of let it go out a little bit, but I'm very rarely having to touch up a cigar.
Yeah, you never get a plugged one either.
Yeah.
The
No.
construction is good.
It's a high quality smoke. It leaves me wanting maybe just a little more, a little more power, but like there's enough body there that it's not like the recently reviewed Wide Churchill, where it's like, God, like you're really leaving this. It's not even close to that. This is head and shoulders, I think, above it. But great, probably morning cigar, for if you like the smoke in the morning, maybe.
I think it's a good morning cigar. It's a light cigar that I think someone was making the analogy of summer. I think it's a perfect summer cigar. The Claros is a great summer cigar. This is coupled with a poolside morning smoke very, very adequately.
I'll also say this though. I think it really depends what box you get of these. And I say that because I've had some. So I mean, I just happen to pull this box out of my humidor and took a few, and I know at least some of us are smoking that. I've had other boxes of these where it's actually been a spicier, more full, and even slightly aggressive cigar. The year, the crop, whatever the case may be, but it's not been my experience that it is always the case that this cigar, like right now for me, is actually very creamy and I would say firmly medium, and the baking spice is really present. Sometimes it's been more of like a peppery spice I've actually gotten out of this cigar, and it's had more oomph to it. So it's for me been a little bit of a mixed bag.
You guys want to try our beer? So we got a beer
do it.
pairing tonight.
Yeah.
It's called the Schneider Weisse. How do you pronounce that?
Yeah, Schneider Weisse.
Okay.
It's
That was
very
close.
You
very
were?
typical German Weizen.
So I don't know anything about beer, as you know. So what can you tell us about it?
It's a heavy wheat beer. It's a wheat beer. Very traditional Bavarian beer. They've been making it for hundreds and hundreds of years, maybe thousands of years. Schneider Weisse has been around probably since the 1500s. I don't know. But it's very typical in Germany especially in the southern states. It's a Bavarian beer. It's a great summer beer. And the thing is, it's called a heavy wheat beer, but it's actually very light. It's the taste is very light and carbonated and crisp, which is very popular in the summertime in Germany. And I thought it would pair well with the lighter cigar. And there's like notes of banana and fruit that I thought would pair well on the palate with a QD54.
It's funny. It does have like a bit of a banana bread thing going on with a little like it's like the sweetness plus the baking spice type.
I like the tang. There's like a nice tang of carbonation in the beer that's very pleasant.
I'll just say this: I'm not a huge beer guy, but obviously I drink beer every now and then. I typically categorically hate Hefeweizen, so I was really
why didn't you
nervous
tell me
about this.
that?
No, but wait till you hear where I'm going. You're going to be very pleased with this. So I usually hate them, and for me, it's because the banana flavor is like so prominent and dominant that there's nothing else I can taste. It like just takes over the whole beer. And I love how Puba said it's like a banana bread that you get out of this, like something that's been baked. Usually the banana flavor I get in a Hefeweizen is just like I just peeled a banana and there it is. Like it's not baked. There's nothing about it. There's no complexity. This is the first Hefeweizen I've ever had that I would actually drink. It's like a more refined version of what I feel like I've typically had. So this is more my speed.
This is a very typical. The German Hefeweizens are not as banana-y, and they're typically not filtered. So like I don't know if you saw me pouring the glasses earlier. I was like kind of rolling the glass to get the sediment at the bottom. That is all flavor, and that flavor offsets some of the banana in the malt.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've never heard of Hefeweizen. I've never had Hefeweizen. Or maybe I
just
had,
wheat
but-
beer, no? In German, doesn't Hefeweizen just mean wheat?
Hefe is heavy. Weizen is wheat.
Right? Like
Or Weizen is white.
So the color, I mean, looking around like the glasses, it looks darker than a typical wheat beer.
It almost looks like like an iced tea
Or an
Yeah.
apple cider.
or an apple cider or
Yeah.
something.
I
It's
love
really-
I love this beer.
It's
This-
really good.
I
It's
don't-
pairing perfectly with the cigar.
And I don't like Hefeweizens very much, but this is one that I know it's got a different tang. It's a little crisp. It doesn't overwhelm me with. Sometimes when you drink that beer, you feel a little heavy. This beer, I never felt that way.
Well, that's the other thing about this. It's not super carbonated, right?
No.
This goes down really smooth. I would say like it's like a light carbonation that's part of this, which I actually think for the cigar pairs really well, because for this QD being on the milder, creamier side, I think it works.
Well, yeah, it's pleasant. It's like Guinness has that minimal carbonation. What's the alcohol content in this thing, you think?
5.4. It's not a lot.
5.4, actually.
Nailed it.
That's awesome. Well done.
I like beer.
I wish I could drink more of it. I can't, because I have gout. I can't drink as much beer as I'd like, or I'm scared to. Guinness I can somehow get away with, but I enjoy beer. I just can't drink it as much as I'd really like to.
I drink a lot of beer during the summer, but now coming into the fall, like this is something like I generally am only going to reach for beer outside of summertime in a situation where I'm trying to pair it with something, or I'm having it with a burger or something.
Time out.
Yeah.
You just said you drink a lot of beer in the summer. I've actually never seen you like drink.
I've never seen you drink a beer.
Yeah, like on vacation,
shocked by this.
Vacation is like all I drink. Yeah,
The Bud Light?
it's Coors Light. I love Coors Light in cans on the beach.
The Rocky Mountain High.
When those mountains are blue, baby. Holy
I'll tell you
moly.
what. It's so funny enough.
I'm a sucker for the blue mountains.
You know what's there's people at least around
There's
where
so
we
much
are in New Jersey.
urination involved.
People shit on like high capacity breweries that are like the mega breweries, like a Coors, Miller Coors, Bud, all those things. Coors makes one of the best beers on the market that's mass produced, and that is the Coors Banquet beer.
Coors Heavy.
Oh, absolutely.
That-
Coors
that-
Banquet beer I used to drink all the time.
Oh my god, it's so good. Perfect summer beer. Anytime, any
I
kind.
always drink Coors. I always drink Coors Heavy.
Coors Banquet is the way to
Banquet
go.
Coors
beer.
Heavy's the one.
in the Coors bin, the banquet bottle.
Can I ask you a question though?
But when I drank beer, I would drink Coors.
Can I just ask a quick question on the
Yeah.
branding? Okay. It's
Outstanding.
2022. Why? Who's having banquets? I've always wondered that. Like, why is it still the banquet? I haven't been to a banquet. I can't tell you how
why
long.
is it Budweiser? Why is it Miller? Like, because that's what it's always been.
it's tradition. It's
Yeah.
like a
They've
heritage
been making
story.
that beer forever, man.
But
Yeah.
I just want to pick up on something Grinder just said before. So he said, people obviously shit on the big breweries, right? AB InBev, Miller Coors, all those big guys. I've done work in that space, and I will never forget. And I wish that the industry would tell this story more, but I'll never forget asking the head brewmaster at Miller Coors, what is the hardest beer to make that they make? And he didn't even need to think about it. He said, any of our light beers. I'm sitting there saying, you're going to tell me of all the stuff they make that Miller or Coors Light is the hardest thing to make. And he goes, everyone loves craft beer. And I said, I have nothing against craft beer. We incubate craft beer. Blue Moon was incubated out of Miller Coors. That was craft beer, back years ago before there was a brewery on every street corner, it feels like. And he said, when you have those heavier craft beers, he said, it's impossible for any small brewery to ensure perfect consistency. So one batch you get 1 week actually may be a little bit different and taste a little bit different from the next batch you get a month later. You wouldn't know because it's so heavy in flavor that there's so much going on there. It'd be harder to pick that out.
It's hard to mask the lighter beer.
That's the thing with light beer. It's so light. He goes, if anything was slightly off in a batch of Coors Light, you would immediately know it.
Yep.
And he said, go find a single small brewer that makes a light beer. It's non-existent. The only ones who make light beer.
So the consistency is key, to satisfying the customer base, and it's hard to do in a light beer.
And just keeping that flavor profile, because since the consistency is so difficult, the only beers that you can get away with being inconsistent are heavier, fuller flavored beers.
Gotcha.
That's why the big guys are able to really make light beer. So for me, it was just like really illuminating. I would have never guessed that.
What's your favorite light beer? Not like, so Coors is technically not a light. It's not a light beer, right? It's
Coors Light.
Coors Light.
Coors Light.
Yeah.
I
like
think
Mick Ultra.
Miller Lite is my if I'm going for light beer, Gold Tops are the way to go.
Yeah, Miller Lite. Yeah,
It always gets me.
yeah.
I used to do Amstel Light.
Yeah, Amstel.
Amstel Light's another good one.
Amstel's too soft for me. It's
But
got like 2% alcohol. It's kind of, it's if you're gonna drink a light beer, may as well get some body to it.
I thought my tolerance was getting higher, but now I'm just.
I used to, when I was drinking.
It's not 2%.
When I drank a lot of beer, I liked Heineken Light. I would drink Heineken Light from time to time.
Heineken likes a good beer. Yeah.
Is it? You're not saying it is. It has
If you're gonna go that route, may as well just get a Heine, like a tradish.
a tradish. Yeah.
See, I'm just a sucker. Let me tell you something. I'm just a sucker for a Coors Light in the aluminum can with the lid. I like the screw top on the beach during the summer. That's my thing. And that's the only time I really drink
so
it.
much urination. I mean, to be honest, I mean,
He's not wrong.
I mean, at my age, and given my physical stature in combination with my my tolerance. I mean, no joke, dude. I mean, I could drink a 12-pack of Coors Light. I feel like operate an 18-wheeler and make a delivery to Walmart. I mean, this is fucking. I mean, 12 Coors Light, and then I'd just be.
They're looking for drivers, by
like
the way.
3 hours.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it just doesn't. It just makes me piss and doesn't deliver the efficacy. I guess.
By the way, for the listener, by the way, for the listener, you've been listening to Rooster open a can of Guinness Zero for about 3 minutes. Every click is him trying to not make noise.
I want to join the party.
So the listener hearing that's what you're hearing is
The thing
takes
the
a
thing
lot
is,
of Coors Light.
the
You got to
reality-
catch a buzz.
The reality is the calories to alcohol ratio of Miller Lite, Coors Light, Bud Light, Busch Light is the best. So you're getting more booze for each calorie with Miller Lite than you are with it's like on par with like a mixed drink.
Right.
The only thing that beats it is these like seltzers.
yeah, like High Noon or something.
Yeah.
Or the
My
malt drinks.
wife drinks those.
Yeah, so does mine.
I'm out on seltzers. So this is a theme for me. This is also why I was surprised by this Hefeweizen. I don't like overly carbonated things.
Oh, see, I do.
So I'll give you an example. We're talking about, so I'm with Grinder. He mentioned he likes Miller Lite of light beers. I skew Miller Lite or Coors Light. Miller Lite when I'm looking for a little more flavor. Coors Light when I just want clean, crisp. But what I like about both of those beers relative to Bud Light for me is just so insanely carbonated and metallic. I just don't even like the flavor of it very much. Where Miller and Coors, the carbonation levels like perfect. Like this Hefeweizen, usually when I have a Hefeweizen, it's heavily carbonated, and all I'm getting is banana, and it's like seltzer, that level of carbonation. And I'm having this, and this is like, I love Guinness. Guinness is like mildly carbonated.
Yeah.
I just don't like a ton of carbonation where I'm feeling so filled up by just having like, 1 or 2 beers. This is more my speed.
Seltzer's hard to drink, in my opinion.
Oh, come on.
Because I think he's right. I feel the same way. I just never thought about it that way. It's when you drink like half a can or a quarter can of seltzer, you're really starting to.
That's why there's mineral water.
But it gives you, when you say that's what you drink, it's not exactly. So the reason that I actually love the seltzer that you drink, you always have it on ice.
I do.
I have never seen you open a can of seltzer or a bottle of seltzer and just drink out of that. Yeah. You always have it on ice. And so
I always put it with lemon juice too.
And lemon juice. Yeah. So you have lemon juice. You have the ice that melts. So it gets the carbonation to a place that's actually enjoyable.
Yeah,
That's why I appreciate
palatable.
it. But people who just pop open a can of seltzer and drink that without any, it's just too much for me.
I can't pop open a can of beer and drink it. I have to put it in a glass, and I have to release some of that carbonation because that's. I think Senator and I had some of this. When you pour a glass of beer, you have to get some of that carbonation out. The whole thing about putting the beer on the side of the glass so it doesn't release the carbonation is fucking bullshit. Because you don't want all that in your belly. Why do you want that in your belly? Then you can't drink more beer.
I'll say the one thing, because you poured this a few minutes before we hit record, and I feel like that actually helped open it up, get rid of, I feel like I'm really enjoying the beer that we're having, and it maybe have helped, it may have been helped by the fact that it sat for a minute before I got into it.
I also wasn't shy about letting it, create some foam, some head.
Well, that's the thing. It was funny. I mean, Grinder had taught me this because I feel like whenever you pour your first few beers, you don't want a ton of foam. That's kind of what you're told, right? You have a bad pour if you pour the beer and more than half the glass is full of foam. You've done something wrong. And I saw Grinder once. We were out somewhere, and I remember he's like pouring it in they gave him like a bottle and then the glass, and I'm watching him pour this, and I'm like, holy shit, like 2/3 of this glass is foam. Like, why would you pour a beer like that? So I'm sitting there laughing, like, what are you doing? Like, why is there so much foam there? He's like, no, that's what you want. And I started doing this after Grinder had told me this, and he's right. It really does like open up the beer and release a lot of that carbonation where it's not the feeling of when you crack a Bud Light and it's just so aggressively carbonated, it almost like hurts to like drink.
Yeah.
It helps a lot.
You want a good head on a beer, and you also, because the head indicates what how well the beer was made. Frankly, you can pour your Coors Light and get the head, whatever limited head it is, and immediately tell that that's a mass produced beer because of the head.
Yeah, you always want to get ahead in life.
That was great. I like
Rooster's words of wisdom.
I can hear Bam Bam going.
A head
Go
could
take a
mean
nap,
lot of
Rooster.
different things.
Anyway, it's a head is indicative of you can tell.
I didn't know that was a symbol of a well-made beer. Was the head. I had no idea that was any sort of indication as to the quality of it.
He is right. It's funny because I remember the first time I was in Belgium, I was in Brussels, and we did this beer tour around the city. And I remember this woman was leading this, and she's telling us everything you need to know about Belgian beer, and exactly what Grinder said. She talked about how when you pour a Belgian beer, there's a certain amount of head that you want and expect to be in the glass, and that it's actually like a sign of how the beer was made. All news to me at the time. I knew none of this, but it's fascinating.
What about the temperature? The beer that you guys are drinking, is it room temperature?
It's not. It's a little colder than room, but it's not.
So should
it's
it
not
be
super cold?
Should it be more like room temperature, like especially German beer?
No, you don't want to. I would never like. I don't like drinking warm beer or room temperature beer. I don't think anyone does, unless you're English. Because cold,
like
warm flat. Yeah, warm flat beers is kind of what they're known for. However, when I drink like a Boddington's,
right? Is that a stout?
It's a cream ale.
Okay.
Yeah, they call it a brown ale. It's
Brown ale.
Yeah.
So typically those stouts.
I don't think it's a brown ale. It's not a brown
No?
ale. I think it's. Well, we'll find out. Some listeners are going to tell me I'm wrong.
no, sorry, I mixed it up with Newcastle Brown Ale.
I don't know what I was saying, but
we're talking about the porters or stouts or like darker beers. Should they be more consumed at room temperature?
I don't think you should consume any beer at room temperature.
No, but Guinness Stout should be served at like 38 degrees, which is a little bit warmer than like what you'd want to serve an ice cold Budweiser at in a glass.
When
so they do. Some Irish pubs really monitor the temperature of the Guinness.
Yeah, when the beer is too cold, you're not going to get as much of a head. When the beer's too warm, it just tastes like trash.
No, but there's bitter beer in England, and
I mean,
that is served warm at room temperature.
Interesting.
It depends.
there's
That
just
just sounds gross to me, but I've just never had
They're
it. so-
they're very tasty. In
There's
fact,
just not
if
as
you
much-
don't like a lot of carbonation,
yeah.
I think you'll prefer those beers.
he's right. There's not as much carbonation.
You'll
they're very
appreciate
flavorful.
And that's why Guinness is served at 38 is to minimize the carbonation. It will get too carbonated at a colder temperature. It needs to be served. I mean, that's what they say. So
And they let it settle, right? Guinness, if you really think about it, they'll pour about half to 3/4. They let it settle for a bit. They get rid of all the carbonation, right? Like when it comes, and then they pour the balance of it as
yeah,
well.
yeah, you got to pour one.
Grinder, you'll appreciate this. I was telling Senator, actually, I saw my parents a couple weekends ago. They had like their end of summer thing that they always do. And my dad has a kegerator. It's just a fridge, with a tap on it.
Mhm.
And he had Yangling in there.
Oh,
And Yangling off of that tap,
Mm-hmm.
it was,
it
was
takes you
perfect.
back.
It was like,
Oh, it's
or-
good.
it's like, it was,
You
guys,
know-
it was heaven.
Beautiful. I
Yeah.
love kegerator. Okay, so back in my beer drinking days, when I was single, I had a kegerator in the fucking living room next to the bar at my.
That's
so I had a
awesome.
bar. I had a
That's
bar.
awesome.
I had like a bar that fit 4 people, and then next right in there we had this. I had a beverage air kegerator, and I'd get a quarter keg of Yingling sometimes, or what are those cylinders they have? I don't know if that's
Yeah.
a quarter keg or if that's,
Even an
but
eighth,
it's like
maybe.
a cylinder,
eighth.
an
Yeah,
eighth
an
or an
eighth.
eighth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that sometimes at
Yep.
the liquor store. I put that on. And people love that. I mean, you get
It's
get
amazing.
one of those. It's a little Yingling
Yingling to
on
me.
tap. It was fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
So Gizmo and I are both
Pennsylvania boys.
Nepa boys, and Yingling to me,
Here we go.
it's a big
Guys, we'll be back in a minute.
nostalgia element because
It really is.
I mean, I remember drinking Yingling in the woods. That's
Yep.
what you do up
Yeah.
there. I mean, you drink
That
Yingling in
was
the woods.
that
when
was the
you're-
one.
When you're 18 in high school, you'd pile into your buddy's Jeep and you go into the woods and you do a fucking keg race between the juniors and the seniors.
Yeah. And you know
It's
what
amazing.
I loved too? What we would do.
And it was so cheap.
It was.
Remember those old, like in the they're the tiny beer glasses. They're like they have a narrow bottom and then they flute out
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
top.
yeah.
But they're small. Maybe they're 8-ounce glasses. I don't know. They're small glasses, but they were great.
Oh yeah.
And we found these glass. So I get these glasses and I go, because we would sit next to the keg and the beer would never change temperature. And we'd sit next to the keg and we'd just be watching the game. You go, and you could just continually top off your beer in these little cups,
Keep it fresh.
in these little glasses.
Yep.
Oh,
So and
wonderful.
one of the that's a
You
that's
go
a-
into like a cloud. You go into like a different dimension.
That's where I was the last couple weekends ago, man. It was amazing.
That's a great point because in Cologne, there's the beer they drink in Cologne is distinctly from Cologne. It's called Kolsch. Now, when they serve you Kolsch, it literally comes in this little small glass that you could shoot it. Like it's so small. It's probably, I don't know, 8 ounces, maybe less, 6 to 8 ounces.
Like if this cup was like 3 gulps. If you
Yeah.
look,
Yep.
like that. It's
And the
gone.
reason and they have these like Turkish waiters coming in with these big things called kranzes, and they hold like 50 different glasses, and they don't even ask you. Like if you drink it, they fill you another beer. They pop out the glass and put you a new one in. And the glasses, the reason why is because in Cologne, contrary to drinking Hefeweizen, which is big and heavy and it gets warm and people don't like it. In Cologne, they always want their beer cold and they always want it fresh.
Right.
So the best way to do that is to have small glasses and drink it in increments. And that's just there's something to be said about that.
There is. And this was done back in the day, not by any design. We stumbled upon this just on our own. Like I got these glasses and I'm like, I remember these retro glasses, and I'm just like, I'm going to buy some.
Yeah.
And then we were like, we just discovered on our own, like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
You can just keep filling up our
You're a real Kölner. Yeah.
Yeah. But not out of any level of sophistication. We just, or whatever, or knowledge. It wasn't, we just did it.
I remember I was at a brewery in Cologne with my wife. I took her to Cologne for the first time, and I spent a lot of time working in Cologne previously. And we're at a brewery. Where were we? Frew. The name of the brewery is Frew. It's right next to the Kölner Dome. It's a very iconic brewery. And my wife I get a glass of beer. I drink it in 2 gulps, and the guy immediately comes up. She says, "What the fuck? What just happened? Like you just got another beer?" And he's like, "Yeah, they know. They want to keep it fresh, and they just keep pouring these beers." And it's
Wow.
literally it's a different lifestyle over there. Like there's a German beer like lifestyle. And it's not about getting drunk. It's like at the end of the day, you work hard, you have a beer. Everyone has a beer at the end of the day.
Dude, that is so funny because going back briefly to my dad. So my dad is like the opposite of me. Like he doesn't get hot. He doesn't raise his voice to the point that people that work for him call him robot.
So he's not like you.
No, that's what I'm saying. He's very different than me.
He doesn't get
They
hot.
call him robot Gizmo Senior. That's what they call him. Okay. Robot Gizmo Senior. And, I remember distinctly as a kid, one of the only time that he ever got hot ever was when my brother or I were bothering our mom for whatever reason. That's one. The other time was when he would come home from work after a crazy day and he'd go back to his kegerator and he'd go to hit it and the keg would be kicked. And that was like coming home after a hard day of work. All he's been thinking about all day
is a cold
he
beer.
wants his Yangling. Or before that, it was Lowenbrau from Germany. He would always want his beer, and when it would be kicked, it would totally ruin his entire
that's
day.
a perfectly good excuse
Absolutely.
to take out any frustration that you have on your loved ones. I mean, what the fuck? You know,
It's funny you're saying that because that's the one memory that I distinctly remember of him getting upset was when his keg would be kicked.
I remember-
look, as a man, you know, you come home and it's like, you know, you try to tell your kids to do something, you know, here's your chores list or whatever. And then they go, "Do you have a chores list?" And it's like, do you go to sleep at night warm and not hungry?
That's my chore.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like of course the man comes home, he wants a beer, cold beer. Everybody's fed, their bellies are full,
Yeah.
the bills are
There's
paid.
chaos
he wants
in the
a
house.
all he wants is a fucking beer.
I remember when my at the time girlfriend, now my wife, we first moved in together. And at the end of the day, hard day, I would have a beer or two. I wouldn't get hammered. I just have a beer or two. And it's not like I'm drinking heavy beer. It's just, that's what I did. And she said, you're drinking a lot. Like, what's going on? Are you do you have a problem? And I'm like, I'm having a beer or two at the end of the day. This is what I do. And I'm not like, you know, this is part of the culture where I grew up in. It's different from where you grew up in. This is kind of this is what I look forward to, and I enjoy it. It makes me happy. And there's something, you know, hard days, work. The Germans got it right. Just have a good beer.
So I want to come back to beer in a second. We're a little over halfway on the Cutie number 54. What are you guys thinking about this thing as it comes down to the last third here? I'm loving it.
I'm very happy.
Yeah,
It
I think
hasn't
it's
really
good.
changed
It
much.
hasn't changed at all.
Yeah, you're getting the same flavor notes as the beginning.
Yeah, it's really delicious.
Which I'm happy about. I mean, for me,
Yeah.
it's just as good in the second half as it was in the first half. And I just really always, I feel like Bam sitting here holding the cigar, just staring at it. But the construction, it really counts for a lot. This stick in particular, when you get a white ash on a cigar, you're always kind of drawn to it. And it's just a razor sharp burn. I love a lot about this cigar.
You know, quick question or quick comment on construction and the build of these. I find that these cigars almost more consistently than Partagas themselves, because even D4s, a lot of D4s are made in provincial factories around Cuba. Most of the time, I've found in boxes that I've seen for sale or that I've gotten, most of them are Partagas factory codes, and this is going back almost since they released these. I first started seeing them with the 18 code. Even though it was released in 17, you know how Cuba is. They release a 2020 Limitada. It comes out in 21 or 22, whatever. I always see these with Partagas codes. Always.
To your point, every QD box I've ever bought has been a Partagas.
And I can't say that about Partagas.
It's true.
you
Right.
know,
Yeah,
which
that's
is interesting.
Yep.
It's just the number of boxes of QDs that are produced as opposed to particles.
That's
that
true.
They
A
have to,
lot.
No, you're
less.
they have
totally. I
to
mean, D4s,
outsource particles to be rolled in other factories.
yeah.
Right. Like
I
the
mean,
Corona Claros is like really just rolled in one factory, and it's like maybe produced like once or twice a year, I think.
Partagas needs one factory just for the
Just
amount of
for the-
Partagas we buy.
They need just for the
lizards.
just for the
lizard
D4. They need a separate factory just for the D4s.
Yeah, it's a super. It's a pretty for what it represents and like what it is. I really like it.
Yeah.
What's the price point on this?
Right now,
20?
right now these are hovering right above 20. You're probably, if you're buying a single on a web, you're probably in the 24, 26 range. A box, you're probably paying between 20 and 22.
What did we pay in December for these boxes?
Oh, they were
Like
significantly less.
16?
Yeah, $16, $15 a stick.
I mean, they're a little. It's a little at this point where I'm at the cigar. I don't know what year these are, but it's a little fresh tasting down the stretch here. That's my only criticism. I
Like
don't know what
ammonia
year-
or
No, not like ammonia. Just not
developed.
just fresh, not developed. No ammonia specifically, but that would be my only criticism. But I have no idea what year these are.
I think they're 20s, late 20.
Late
Yeah,
20.
Partagas, December 20. Yeah. So going back to beer for a second, again, as somebody that's not a beer connoisseur or a beer lover, consumer, I do find it really interesting how craft beer making has become such a big hobby in the States. I mean, I know several folks in my small circle of friends on Facebook or people that I know that are really passionate, not just about buying craft beer, going to breweries and having an experience. Even they take their kids. They have kids experiences at these breweries outside, so the parents could have a nice afternoon.
I'm that typical millennial that brings their baby to breweries and sits there with the stroller and
That's awesome.
just slams beers and eats pretzels and stuff.
They have music and food, and
Anna's been to like 5 breweries already.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So
See, I think that sounds fun.
It's awesome.
I don't. I'm not a millennial. I'm all, but I don't. I can't really drink as much beer as I'd really like to.
Yeah.
So I drink alcohol, scotch, and whatever, everything else, tequila, gin, vodka. But I really enjoy beer, like with a Bavarian pretzel.
Oh, there's
you
nothing
know,
like a
or
beer and a
like,
pretzel.
A beer and a pretzel or a beer, all these different beers, and to try them. I mean, it really is a lot of fun, because there was like a time in my life where I used to drink a lot of different beers. Back in like the 90s, Sierra Nevada, like the IPA came out.
Yep.
And boy, that was great. And the Sierra Nevada Christmas Ale.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's still
man.
great. Yeah.
Is that still great?
Yeah.
They would have that Christmas ale, and it would come out, and I'd go, "Ooh, I can't wait! That was so good," And I would buy these 6-packs, and I remember they were like expensive, for me at the time, and they were wonderful, and I loved these things. I just, I wish I could drink it more, because it really is a lot of fun.
I love a good Christmas ale. Anchor Steam makes a really good Christmas.
Oh,
beer.
Anchor Steam,
Anchor
yeah.
Steam
That's
makes-
what I'm thinking. Maybe that's what I'm thinking
Yeah,
of.
that's
Anchor
from
Steam.
San Fran, I think.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
they changed the logo every year, I think.
Yeah.
I had one of those.
That's
in-
exactly what I'm thinking of. Anchor Steam, because that
Yeah.
came out right around when
Yeah.
Sierra Nevada was coming on,
Wait,
and Sam Adams was putting out a product at the time. They would do these mixed things where they'd have a variety pack. I
Oh,
don't know
yeah,
how
yeah.
good Sam
Interesting.
Adams is now, but I mean, they were really good. Like, you'd get these, and it was just fun. You just try all these different beers. It was like all these endless possibilities.
But think about, like, this is something that in America, for example, the Germans are envious of the Americans in our creativity with beer, because we create so many different flavors. We do all this stuff. Germans don't do that because of the Reinheitsgebot. They literally have a law that's been around forever that says you can only make beer with these 4 ingredients. What is it? Hops, barley, water, and yeast.
Yeah.
Right? That's literally the only ingredients. And then there's differences in how you've, fermented. Is it top fermented, bottom fermented? Is it a lager? Is it an ale? Whatever. But, a lot of German beers, if you go from city to city to city, if you're in Cologne Kolsch has a very distinct taste. If you're in Dusseldorf, Alt beer has a very distinct taste. If you're in Bavaria, it has also a distinct taste. But the very typical Pilsner, German Pilsner, that's ubiquitous, like a Bitburger, like a Veltins, like a Rodeburger, they kind of taste similar. And it's very standard. It's very, straight lined. When over here we have so many different flavors, the IPA thing, and there's so much creativity with what they're putting in beers. Like you look at like Allagash, the amount of flavor in an Allagash white still astounds me to this day.
It's awesome.
It's so good.
When you say that,
and
it's
then
just a complex.
they
It's
have
just
the
complex.
Well, they put in these like different spices into it, and it really blends perfectly.
All kinds of stuff. I mean, Allagash makes a Belgian style triple. They have that
is so
Allagash Curo. It's like in like bourbon barrel. I mean, the innovation to your point is off the charts.
Yeah, there's so much almost that you can do with beer and brewing.
Yeah.
It's almost like the flavor profiles are like endless. So like a friend of mine opened a brewery over in Westwood. Let's give him a plug, 5 Dimes. Over in Westwood, my friend Chris, he opened up this brewery and he's doing his thing over there. And you have Defiant up in Rockland County, and they're very well established. And
That place is great.
and they're great. Yeah,
That's one of the places I've taken.
what wonderful people there too, and wonderful. The proprietor's a wonderful guy, and they and they have some regional distribution actually at Defiant.
Yep.
So which is really cool, and I really just wish I could drink more of it from time to time, because I think it's fun. It is fun.
It's fun. It's fun going. Like I went on a ski trip up to Vermont, and one of the things that we were all keen on doing was not just skiing, but going to different breweries.
Yeah.
And there's certain beers that, like, when you go to a brewery, you can only get by going to the brewery. That's when you get really excited. Like, still one of the best beers I've ever had was when I went to the Allagash brewery and had what they called was like a table beer. They called it table beer. They just made it. They're like, we're not really sure what we're doing, but we'll call it table beer. It's very simple. It's a lager. It's not dark. It's not light. It's just it was delicious. But you cannot, I don't even think they make it. It's just like a special run, which is really cool because they get creative. They get brewmasters that have different batches. When we were at Defiant, there was a beer that they blended with different spring spices, and they made it a spring beer, and they don't make it anymore. They don't even know if they have the formula anymore. They're like, we made it a couple months ago. We're not really sure what the formula is. It kind of just happened, and it's really good. You should try it.
It's really good. They're really nice up there. It's 20 years now they've been in business, which I can't believe. Nice brewery.
Yeah, and they have a lot of fun games in there as well.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, constantly over any weekend, it's either I'm seeing like a lot of folks going to breweries, like you said, taking the kids. They have kids activities, music, food, etc. Or it's folks who are brewing at home and are just really passionate about making these beers and sharing them with their friends.
I just think
Totally
I think it's
fun.
so
It's so cool.
that
It's totally fun.
we're developing our own American flavor for the beer garden. It's fun.
What also is really cool is, like, I mean, I don't drink alcohol, and there's so many breweries now that are making non-alcoholic beers.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, like, how many different kinds of non-alcoholic beers that you can get. You can get IPAs, you can get stouts, you can get porters, you can get lagers. I'm drinking a Guinness Zero right now. I mean, it's a delicious beer if you don't, want the alcohol. You go to Total Wine and they literally have like, I would say maybe like 40 different varieties of non-alcoholic.
I thought you were going to say
right?
10. I thought you were going to say 10.
I swear to God, they have like at least 40 different varieties.
Wow.
And
It's exploded. I mean, and this
that's
is all
amazing.
recent, what Rooster's talking about. I mean, you think about this year, Guinness came out with Guinness Zero.
Yeah.
You think about within just the last couple of years, Heineken Zero, they came out with every major brewery now is coming out with like a
remember
no-alcohol
when
product.
only non-alcoholic beer that you could buy was
O'Doul's.
O'Doul's. That was it. Now like Coors has one, Heineken, Beck's. I love the Beck's non-alcoholic. That's super. Guinness, Klausthaler, Bitburger has one.
Does Brooklyn make?
Brooklyn has like 4 different
Wow.
kinds.
Yeah.
That's a fun brewery if you've ever been to the Brooklyn Brewery.
I've never been there. I mean, I know a guy who goes when they do special releases, and almost like you used to have to do when you get concert tickets, like he'll go the night before and put up a tent and sleep outside to be early in line to get access to these crazy beers that they make. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty cool. Anyway, I mean, I just find the whole beer thing, especially the home brew, the micro brew, the regional breweries we're talking about, the success that they're able to have, the businesses they're making, and it's a very community. It's finding a way into the culture of, American drinking, which I think is pretty cool.
I think it's always been there. People are getting more creative. Americans have always been drinking.
But haven't the states loosened? Haven't some states like really loosened the laws on? I think they've purposely loosened laws on making beer and distributing. I think it's a little bit easier to do that now. At least here in Jersey,
it's hard. It's hard. My buddy who just opened the place I was talking about, they had to go through a lot.
There are a lot of rules.
A lot of rules in New Jersey.
Yeah.
You have
to serve food.
There's a lot of regulation. No, they prohibited him from serving food.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're prohibited him from serving food. There are licenses for that. So it was not an easy path. It's not. I don't think opening. I think New Jersey's an outlier. Opening any type of business that serves food, beverages, alcohol. There's just a lot of it's heavily regulated to a point where, and not necessarily by the state as much as it is by the municipality, and the local governments really have. There's a lot of inside baseball, let's just say.
Got it.
In terms of who on the town council has a relationship with another guy who's got a bar in town and somebody else wants to open a brewery in town. Well, that's going to create competition for the guy who they're friends with, and and you've got one road and only so many liquor licenses, and only so many, the whole way the liquor licenses is a whole separate conversation.
In New Jersey, it's crazy.
In New Jersey,
it's crazy.
The whole way, with the fact that you can own a liquor license and you buy it for $650,000 and then you sell the license. Like the license is a thing.
It's an asset.
This is complete bullshit.
It's ridiculous.
Nobody else operates this way. You go and open up a bar and restaurant in Florida. You apply for it as long as it's zoned for it or whatever. You pay your $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, and you get your license. This is insanity. They have licenses for just serving packaged goods. They have licenses for serving over the bar and packaged goods. They have licenses, and then you hold these licenses, and they hold them like, people buy them and then actually just sit on them. So for up the road here, right in Wyckoff, New Jersey, you had the Wyckoff Bar and Grill. Guess what? That license was bought. That piece of property right in the center of Wyckoff there across from the iPlace has been sitting there for 10 years empty.
Wow.
Because someone just bought the liquor license, they sit on it, and that's it. And so there's no liquor license. They're not issuing anymore in the town because the town only wants so many bars, and that's it. And they sit on it, and it's like it's an investment. Like they're sitting on a piece of real estate, but it's a piece of paper.
Crazy. This
is like, so that's, to me, this is lunacy. But that's the state of New Jersey. It's a little bit crazy.
Absolutely.
And it makes it very hard for people. It makes it very hard for restaurateurs to open up a restaurant and make money, because you got to make money on the alcohol, the margin. And so you got all these BYOB places. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
And there's only so many good restaurants that you can go to and order a cocktail, because guess what? Not everybody wants to go to a restaurant and bring a bottle. They want to get a cocktail served to them. And it makes it difficult for New Jersey business owners, entrepreneurs.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, that's my TED talk on this thing. But I'm sorry, but
it's true. You're right. I mean, it's ridiculous how they do it.
Some New Jersey restaurants are actually allowing you to serve, I think, wine that's produced in New Jersey.
Yeah.
So you can have sangria.
Senator loves wine produced in New Jersey.
Don't
Big
even
Tom's
get
River
me
wine
started.
guy.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
They made out of grapes.
That should be banned.
What
All
are
right.
you saying? The soil here isn't.
Terroir. It's
No,
too much infested with
the swamp and the New Jersey Turnpike's not conducive to growing grapes.
Yeah,
We
the-
do
the
grow-
pine barrens.
We are the garden state, and we do grow tomatoes and corn. That's outstanding.
Yeah,
Oh,
delicious.
That's true.
Delicious.
Jersey tomatoes.
All right, boys. We're coming to the end here of the cigar, but first, let's give this. Let me pronounce it right. Schneider Weisse. Weisse.
Yeah, it's good.
Am I doing all right?
Sure.
Let's do the formal liquor rating on this thing. You guys ready to do that? All right, Pooba, you're up.
I'm up. Okay. I don't have anything to really compare it to because I'm not a huge beer guy, and I don't drink a lot of this German beer. I mean, I liked it a lot. I mean, I guess I'll give it an 8 or something. I mean, it's kind of just shooting in the dark. I don't have much to compare it to. I'm just shooting in the dark. I mean, I haven't had one of these Libra Weissens before.
Libra Weissens?
Whatever it's called.
Is that an astrological beer?
I don't know, but it tasted real good. I had half a glass.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really like it. I just can't drink enough of it to really appreciate it. To me, I don't know, an 8.
There
You're
you go.
crazy. What a ridiculous rating.
Yeah.
Is it a ridiculous
unbelievable.
rating?
It's totally ridiculous. I mean, you want to hear my rating?
Yes.
It's an 8.
Oh.
Pagoda, what do you got?
It's a 9 for me.
All right. Grinder?
It's an 8 for me as well.
I'm going to give it an 8 as well. Composite Lizard score, boys, is an 8.2.
Hey, can I rate my Guinness?
Yeah.
Yeah.
10?
Guinness
No.
0, please?
Zero? Is it zero?
No,
It's a
actually.
0.0. All right, boys, we're coming to the end of the QD number 54. What are you guys thinking as we come to the end of this thing before we rate it?
Still strong. Not strong in flavor, but it's performing
Yeah,
strongly.
I am tasting. I do agree with Pooba a little bit. I'm tasting a little bit of the youth now. Getting a little bit of a blast of youth.
So I'll say this. I get the exact same, but given how easygoing this cigar is all the way
Yes.
through, I actually like that it shows a little bit of youth at the end because it starts to pick up a little bit in a way that I'm waiting for the whole cigar. So I actually don't mind it, even though I know obviously it will benefit from age.
Yeah, it has picked up in strength a
It
little
has.
bit.
It has a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's medium full now.
Yeah, it's picked up in strength in that kind of way a fresher cigar picks up in strength.
Right.
But not in an unpleasant way. It's just
n-
there.
Nothing, nothing bad. Like you don't
nothing
taste
bad.
any ammonia or anything like
No.
that. But
No.
You guys ready to do the formal lizard rating on this thing?
Sure.
Let's do it.
All right, Rooster, you're up.
So for me, it's an 8.
Yeah, same here.
All right.
This is easy. Also an 8.
All right. Pagoda.
7 for me.
I'm an 8.
8. I am also an 8. So, boys, the composite lizard score is a 7.8.
Yeah, not enough strength for Pagoda. He's
Yeah.
always going to knock it down a point if it doesn't have. And also after him playing golf today, he wants a nick kick in his tuchus.
No, not only that.
He needs the lift, and it didn't give it to him clearly, so he knocks it down a peg.
You're kidding?
No,
He was
no,
ready
for sure.
to give up.
But you know
after
what
this.
it is that there's so many Cuban cigars and as you know, like I've really just got into Cuban cigars within the year. What I find is there's so many other Cuban cigars where it starts off with a Cuban twang. There's something which is very pleasant about it when it begins. This is really good. Don't get me wrong. I just thought it was very monotone throughout, and yeah, it did pick up a little bit on strength. And for me, it didn't really get me very excited. And I think 8 is a very, very strong score. I think 7 is just right from my perspective.
Yeah, you bring up an interesting point. No, when you put it on your mouth, it doesn't give you that salt, that salty
It's true.
minerally presentation that a Partagas would give you, or a Bolivar would give you.
And those are so pleasant. Those are so pleasant. And even in those, we've rated so many, and I've rated so many as 8s. So for me, like I need that extra oomph, and so
Pagoda loves the 898, by the way.
I love it.
He does. We all do.
There's a Davidoff 898.
I did not know that.
something
In current production?
something
There's a
new-
punch 898
new.
too.
Something new.
Oh no, sorry.
It's just the box.
It's
It's just the.
I'm sorry. It's Ashton.
Ashton.
It's
Oh, by the way,
9.
In that
and then
case,
8
never mind.
9
8. Well, right, but it's 8 on top, then 9, and then 8.
Yeah.
By the way, one of the guys from our foursome was smoking Ashton's today, and
Yeah.
he intends on presenting it to Senator soon.
Who the hell was this?
He just got a box of Ashton.
He owns a couple of restaurants in the city.
Oh boy.
Let us know,
Oh, boy.
Senator. Let us know how it is.
And I did say, I
Oh,
said,
boy.
Senator's going to love it because that's one of his favorite. No,
If it's the
New worlds.
VSG,
No,
I
it's
mean,
not the VSG. I told him that. I said VSG is the only decent
We're gonna do the
Ashton,
we're gonna
that's
do the
like
VSG soon. by
worthy
the
of
way.
a smoke.
I think I'm going to
You
be
know.
donating a box of cigars to a charity auction pretty soon.
We're gonna do a VSG soon from Ashton. We'll see how that is. But all right, boys. Great night. Good deep dive on beer. That certainly I learned a lot tonight. An 8.2 on the Schneider Weisse, and sorry I can't pronounce that, but
Schneider Weisse.
I'll get it right by the time I record the intro. And a 7.8 on the QD number 54. Great night. Again, thanks to the proprietor, John, 1086 Cigars in Hawthorne, our clubhouse. We love it. If you're in the area, support it and tell them that the Lizard sent you. And awesome, guys. We'll see you next week.
keep smoking.
Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to leave us a rating and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. If you have any comments, questions, if you want to reach out, say hello, tell us what you're smoking, email us, loungelizardspod, P-O-D, that's loungelizardspod@gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram @loungelizardspod. We really appreciate your time, and we'll see you next week.